You're listening to the Wrestling Philosophy Show, where we talk wrestling perspectives and beliefs. Check us out on social media, including video shows on YouTube and audio on podcast platforms. In show 21, we catch up with Boomer Fechko of Cleveland State University. He talks about his coaching path and how it's led him back to Northeast Ohio. He also discusses the momentum of Cleveland State and finally having 3 coaches on staff. Here we are with Boomer Fechko, Cleveland State. How you doing today?
Doing well, man. How about yourself?
I can't complain. Just recorded with Coach Moore. Always good catching up with him. Talking with him. It's always good talking wrestling. So, first off, where'd the name Boomer come from?
When as a little kid, your parents call you different names. My dad called me, Sport and Champ, and just little names like that. And obviously Boomer, and it really just stuck. And then my grandparents started calling me Boomer, and it got to the point where everybody started calling me it, and I couldn't stand my real name, Craig. So just went with Boomer, and it's been that way, my whole life. So
nice. You being a Northeast Ohio guy, I'm a little older. You didn't get any flack from Browns fans or anything for Boomer size or anything?
No, not at all.
Any jokes from the kids now with the Boomer stuff?
Not really. The only thing I ever hear is, there's only 2 Boomers I know, Boomer Esiason and then me, but that's about it.
Cool. Getting into your background, Northeast Ohio, but you've coached at the high school, the D3, right? NAIA, all over now obviously at Cleveland State. Can you walk us through that path?
Yeah. So, graduated college in 2009 and got a job out in California with Terry Pack, who was National College Coach of the Year for JUCO in the early 2000s, brought in some top recruiting classes. So I had an opportunity to go out to Cali and work for him and coach his son his senior year, Cody Pack, who wrestled at South Dakota State and has done some Greco and all that good stuff. And so I was out there for a year. Loved it. It was awesome. We actually, so the company we had worked for basically got bought out, and they brought in all new people. So I think it was like June or July. So we're all without jobs. So it was a little scary, but Cody was going to South Dakota State, and long story short, there was an NAIA school out there that their head coach had a connection at South Dakota State. So he called me up, and I went out to Dakota Wesleyan to be a grad assistant for 2 years. So got my master's degree, and then went over to Bloomsburg for a year, in Pennsylvania. And then after that, I actually had a chance to go back to Dakota Wesleyan to be the head coach. So I think I was maybe 26 at the time, 27. So being a head coach young, I thought it was a great opportunity, just for me to learn. I really wanted to stay in Division I, but I felt like I just couldn't pass the opportunity up. So I went back to Dakota Wesleyan for about a year and a half, and then went out to Buffalo to be the head assistant, and then got promoted to associate head coach at Buffalo. Was there for 3 years, and then like you said, I'm from the Cleveland area. I've always wanted to come back to Cleveland. Really wanted to be a part of Cleveland State. I've always wanted to see Cleveland State do very well, and really wanted to be part of the process. And so Coach Moore got hired 2 years ago now, and I knew him a little bit, but not that well. But knew his reputation. And it just seemed like a perfect opportunity, a perfect time for me to come back. And so, was able to come back as the assistant here at Cleveland State. Been here 2 years and absolutely love it.
Nice. So you've seen a lot of different programs. I talked to Coach Moore a little bit about the new era. What? How would you define the new era?
It's a whole new staff. I think that the expectations, the culture, the environment, it's new, it's better, it's thriving, and I think it's just, the total change in culture and what we're doing. There's a higher expectation probably than there's ever been. And we've got guys, especially throughout the recruiting process, that really fit the mold of our program extremely well. And we're kind of building that environment and that culture around these guys. And the buy-in has just been awesome. So, you look at my first year, Coach Moore's first year as a head coach, I think we had 4 wins, maybe 5. I can't remember. And then last year, I think we were 9-6. So, and we started 3 true freshmen last year. So, just goes to show, the type of recruits we're bringing in, and, also getting, the guys just to buy in, that were already there. So it's been a very good transition, and just looking forward to the future and what these guys can do.
Nice. Was there a certain point in your wrestling career you knew you wanted to coach, or is there a certain person kind of, influenced you that, okay, I want to be involved in this sport forever. This guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I'd say early on in college, is when I really made the decision that, hey, coaching is what I want to do. And I think, for me, I started as a true freshman, wrestled at Finley, for Coach Sean Nelson. And,
nice.
So you go from, high school into college, and anybody that's wrestled in college knows it's just the jump is huge. So, there's a lot more that goes into it than just wrestling. There's a lot of mental stuff and a lot of emotions and stuff like that. And so, my freshman year, I learned a lot. Obviously with wrestling physically and all that, but just mentally and just how to prepare and just a way to do things. And then even off the mat, how the coaches were there for you. And even throughout all my college career and even throughout high school, I had coaches that just weren't wrestling coaches. They were wrestling coaches. They were father figures. They were, all aspects of life they helped out with.
Right.
And so it had a huge impact on me. And, because let's face it, we all go through some tough times. And so it's easy for people to be there when things are going well, but when things aren't going well, for them to step in and help you out. And it has a big impact on your life. So I just, I knew what people did for me, and I wanted to give back and do that. And, let's face it, we're not college football coaches. We're not college basketball coaches. We don't make the most money, but the feelings that we get and the experiences that we have are just priceless, and there's always times throughout every year, every season, every year, something happens and you're like, all right, this is why I do this. This is exactly why. And it's just a little reassurance, which is great.
Right. Wrestling coaching is a lot like the sport itself. You put a lot of time in, a lot of down moments, and then, it's more gratifying than anything. I think that's one word to describe coaching, especially wrestling. You deal with everything, and it's at the end of the day, it's definitely gratifying when you help someone succeed. Could you talk a little bit? You touched on Coach Moore, Coach Musser. How do you guys three kind of work together? What are your roles and how you guys work together? Now you're a couple years in together.
Yeah, the first year, it was just Coach Moore and myself, and so we kind of had some things maybe that I would do, and Coach Moore had things that he would do. And it's anybody that's coached college knows 2 people running a program. It's a lot. And so, it was my first year at Cleveland State. So I'm learning some things, about the university, how things are done there with the university, just process, all that. And first year for Coach Moore being a head coach. So he's learning things. So that first year was very beneficial. Cause it was a lot of work, but at the same time, we kind of figured out how to do some things, but we also figured, okay, we did it this way and it didn't work, or, okay, we got to find a better way to do this. So bringing in a third person, and from what I understand, this is the first time Cleveland State's ever had 2 full-time assistants, which is absolutely huge. So, that was big for the program. So now having a third person, it really kind of just helps us, focus on certain things a little bit more. So there are things that, maybe Musser does or Moore does or I do, maybe like some smaller tasks. But I would say for the most part, we all have a hand in pretty much everything. Maybe one person more than the other two, but for the most part, we talk about everything. We communicate, daily on recruiting, training, just developing the guys, just different aspects, putting together the schedule for competition, putting together the training schedule and the training phases. So we all, kind of have a hand in everything, I'd say. And it seems like, for the most part, it's going really well so far.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't know that was the first time you had two, paid assistants, especially coming from that point where it was almost cut, a few years ago. I remember that, it was pretty crazy. Actually, I told a story earlier, but they had a wrestlers and business event at Jeff Leonard's place, Butcher and the Brewer, and Dan Gable was talking and going on and on about the story, just got to save the program, this and that. And he's like, and if I seen that AD, I would such and such. And the AD was there, and everyone was pointing at him, and Gable kind of looks at him. He's like, he kind of changed courses, but he kind of, still was like, better get this right type thing, and kind of backed off. But it was pretty funny. Like, we're like, oh, what's going to go on here? Dan Gable, how intense he is. So it was pretty hilarious, seeing that. But that's awesome. Two assistants, definitely have some momentum going. Coach Moore touched on, the recruits you guys have coming in big class. So I'm excited to see what's going on up there. Coach Moore said you're the clean guy of the coaching staff. Like to keep things clean, and is that just something the way you always been? Always.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of gotten worse over the years. I would say self-diagnosed OCD.
Okay.
Nobody knows for sure if that's true or not, but like I said, I mean, it's just I've always been very organized, real good with time management and stuff like that, and always kept things clean. But over the years, it's gotten worse. I'm wiping things down. I can't stand when the guys come in after practice and sit on the couch. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Now I gotta wipe that off.
That stink doesn't go away sometimes, right?
Yeah, but we got a dog now, so we've had a dog for about 5-6 months. So I'm getting over some things. I'm doing a little bit better with some things.
Is it shed, or is it shedding, or what? What
yeah,
kind of
he sheds, but I mean, that's just the way it is,
Right.
It's I'm trying to loosen up on a few things, and so the dog's kind of helped me get through that a little bit. But yeah, no, I'm still very clean and
it's a good problem to have.
Down.
Good, especially in today's world, and especially wrestling. You know what I mean? With everything going on, that's a good problem to have. Do you have any kind of unwritten rules of the sport?
It's funny. I actually came across an article about that a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
And it was kind of more like funny stuff. If you're cutting weight, or guys that aren't cutting weight, don't weigh in first. Let the guys who are cutting weight weigh in first, or get to the food first, or whatever. So it was kind of comical for that. But as far as myself, not really.
Yeah, nothing. Where was that article from? Do you remember?
I don't even know. It might have been like the Open Mat or mat.com. I'm not even sure. I think I found it on Twitter, actually. And it could have been from a long time ago, a couple years ago. I'm not even sure. But it was just kind of comical seeing some of those things. And, I think one was about the guy who always wins the last sprint, hey, but you came in last the first 9 sprints, but the 10th sprint you won. Like, if you're going to run one hard, just run them all hard, So,
right.
But yeah, it was just kind of comical because we've all seen that, there's always been, whether, all stages of wrestling, youth, middle school, high school, college, we've all seen that stuff. So it's just kind of funny to, read that. And so.
Yeah. One other question I ask is, what would you be your NCAA final walkout song?
Oh man. Probably Here Comes the Boom by Nelly.
Okay.
I think it just fits. Yeah, that'd probably be it.
Who plays the best tunes in the wrestling room?
Oh goodness. I don't know. A lot of the guys play the same thing. Their rap music and stuff like that. We do have one of our heavyweights. He plays more rock and roll and stuff like that. So that's a nice change of pace at times. So for me, I mean, I don't really care what the guys play, just as long as whatever gets them ready, gets them going, keeps the energy high. They have a good attitude. If they want, they can play country, they can play whatever they want. It doesn't matter to me. Just as long as they're going to bring it at practice, I'm good with it. And then obviously keeping the explicit language to a minimum. When you have, people can hear it from the hallway.
Right. Right.
It just.
How do you go about who controls the music in the room? Is it upperclassmen, or they just kind of all agree, or how's that work?
I don't even know, honestly. They probably figured it out, amongst themselves in the locker room, or somebody just said, I would assume somebody just says, hey, I got the music today, and put it on, or hey, what do we want to listen to today? But yeah, we got a speaker in the room, and it's pretty powerful, and then, obviously in the weight room too. And I think our strength coach actually has his own, playlist. Yeah. And all the team, he's got all the team's playlists saved on there. So, they come in and put it on and get after it. So like I said, it doesn't matter to me what they play, just as long as, hey, they're upbeat, they're ready to go. Cause there's nothing worse than guys coming into practice and just that look on their face, they're down, they're cutting weight, it's getting tough, and you gotta have them excited, ready to go for practice and have a great training opportunity. So.
Right. You have any favorite wrestling social media follows?
I love following other programs, to be honest with you, other college programs. I always think it's interesting to see what other programs are doing, and the way they market and promote their program. A lot of things, on there, there's a lot of fundraising events that other teams host. So it's just interesting to see what other teams are doing, and not even just wrestling teams, but other college sports teams. And then obviously with social media being so big now, and reaching out to recruits and stuff like that, recruits are following you. So, you have your GIFs and, or GIFs, whatever they're called, I don't even know. And then, we're able to put, videos on and stuff like that. So, I always just like seeing whatever other programs are doing, and I know we've gotten into putting some highlight videos after some matches and different things. So that's one thing we've been working on is our social media to try to get better at it. And, because like I said, it's just huge for recruiting nowadays. And it's amazing. There's people that I won't see for 5-10 years, and I'll be at a wedding or whatever and run into somebody, and they'll say, I haven't talked to them in 5 or 10 years either. And they'll say, oh, hey, I saw you got that recruit. How'd you know? I haven't seen you in forever. I saw it on Facebook. I saw it on Twitter. So it's amazing how much, social media, how many people see it and things like that. So yeah, like I said, I just like seeing other programs and what they're doing and kind of like taking ideas and running with them.
Who runs the Cleveland State Wrestling social media? Is that you, or who runs those?
I would say more Coach Moore and myself. Probably Coach Moore does, I would say, more than I do for sure. But I try to make sure that I put on articles. Any article that's posted, I put on our social media. I'll do like the Facebook stuff and some Twitter things. Coach Moore does the Instagram. I don't have an Instagram, so not good with it at all. But yeah, so Coach Moore, I'd say definitely does more than I do. But, we try to just make sure we're getting it on everything. So that way, people are updated of what's going on.
Yeah, it's definitely a way to communicate, especially, with recruiting and, donors too. Kind of cool story. One of my cousins, so I actually had the opportunity, he came out for wrestling. It was pretty cool, after going through basketball, but came out for wrestling in high school. And now he's at Temple, and he's head of their media. And so he's pretty much their, social media guy for Temple football. So it's kind of, that's his job, is just to kind of create that social media, the media, whatever it is. And, he's coached, for a while, but now he's in that role. And and that's really a booming market in the football world. And, obviously, it's going to, I'm sure, trickle down to the wrestling in a way, but that's his job. He's the director of creative media at Temple, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, and it's a full-time job. I mean,
yeah,
it's social
yeah,
media. It's huge, and in another year there's going to be, what's the new one now? TikTok or something.
yeah,
That's the new
yeah,
one. In
yeah.
another year there's going to be another one.
Hmm. Yeah, it's always gonna
Back
be
when we were
something.
younger, it was what was it, MySpace?
Yeah, yeah, right. Well, I'm older even than you, man. I had AOL Instant Messenger, man.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
old, man.
exactly.
So, no, it's funny. So, any rules that you would, if you had the power to change in college wrestling, that you'd change it?
Uh, I think the two that kind of come to mind, and not that I have the answer by any means,
Mhm.
but I think the one is, the step out rule, with the stall calls, and whether it's action or, somebody's got to be stalling. That's a tough judgment call. Every time, you go out of bounds, the ref has to make a decision.
Mhm.
I mean, I know you got three options, either wrestler A is stalling, wrestler B is stalling, or it's action. But, sometimes that's tough. That's a tough call. So there can be some inconsistency there. So again, not that I have the answer, but that's one that I'm just not a really big fan of right now. And then the other one is the team point being taken away. If a coach goes on the mat, or wrestlers are going wild and crazy on the sidelines, and they get on the mat, you're taking a team point away, or if a coach questions a ref a certain way, or something like that. I just don't. You look at other sports, you don't really see that, team points being taken away.
Mhm.
And let's be honest, we college wrestling coaches put, their heart and soul into this for these
Right,
kids,
right.
and so, yeah, there's a lot of emotion going on, right? There's a lot of emotion going on in the match. You're excited, you're in the moment. And, to have a team point taken away because you stepped over the line on the mat, or you came out of the mat too far, or the bench is going crazy, or, whatever it is. I don't know. And actually last year that happened in one of our duels, and it benefited us. It happened to the other team, and we ended up winning the duel because of it. But like I said, other sports you just don't really see that happen, where
Right.
team points are being taken away. So, and again, not that I have the answer, but yeah, that's one that I don't like either.
Cool, cool. Um, as we talked about, you've been, coaching at different levels and, seen a lot of different places. Anyone you recommend I have on?
Ooh. Um, one guy that comes to mind right off the top of my head, just because I think he's doing something different than than a lot of people, it would probably be Terry Pack out in South Dakota.
Okay.
He's the owner of Legends of Gold.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a humongous facility out there. He's a 501c3. And I actually know Sean Boyle just went out there to kind of help him out. But he's just doing something that, I think nobody's done before, but people wanted to see happen. So
Right.
I've been out there. I did camps out there for years. And
What's
then
it
even
like out there? I've only seen video. I've seen, Zeb went out there, I believe last summer. I mean, it's massive, right?
yeah. So I was out there 2010 to 2012, and then
Okay.
2014 and 15 I was
So
out
it's probably
there.
changed quite a bit since then, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, but I've done it. I think I've been out there once or twice outside of that. I flew out there for some camps, but yeah, it's all. I mean, it's always changing. It's getting bigger. I think he's got a facility now with 6 mats in it.
Wow.
So it's incredible out there, and where he's located is right by right on the South Dakota and Iowa border. And he gets kids from Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota, all over the place. So it's just something that it's great for the sport because it provides an opportunity for kids, and to that level. I mean, how many times throughout our lives have we been like, man, I wish our wrestling room was bigger. Man, I wish we
Right.
had this or had that. Man, I just wish we could have full control over how we train and when we train and this and that. And he has that, so
Mm-hmm.
he's got dorms right on his campus there. So, I mean, he's got a great setup. So, yeah, I just think what he's doing is just different. And it's, like I said, it's really good for the sport.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, he was doing some things through quarantine, small groups. I know, so I mean, you can tell he was
Yeah.
passionate about the sport. And no, thanks for the suggestion. I'll see if I can track him down. Um, you have anything else, or any questions, or anything else you want to talk about?
Not really, man. Just really appreciate what you're doing. I think this is awesome. Been following this, the wrestling philosophy, and I think it's great. And, talking with you before, especially right now with all the negativity going on and everything, it's good to, talk wrestling and for people to watch and listen and, kind of get ideas and stuff like that. So, yeah, no, I think this is awesome. I hope you keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for your time, and obviously following you guys along the season, and looking forward to see what's going on up there. So good luck, and I'm hope to talk soon, man.
Absolutely. Appreciate your time. Thanks, man.